just did a complete exhaust swap on my Challenger SRT and installed cutouts. I'll show you the installation process and why I made the change. Here you can see the exhaust that came on the 2015 Challenger I bought a few weeks ago in Texas. As you can see, there are catless JBA mid-pipes and a Borla Attack exhaust. There's a little peek at my carbon fiber drive shaft. This Borla exhaust and these catless mid-pipes, they sounded great. They were extremely loud, but they weren't going to work for my needs. So I decided to swap out this setup for a stock setup with cutouts. I found a member of my local car group, the Queen City Challengers, that was willing to buy my exhaust setup and give me his stock SRT exhaust. There are two big reasons why I would get rid of an admittedly great exhaust setup in exchange for a stock setup with cutouts. Number one, you must have catalytic converters on a car to be able to register it in North Carolina. So I had to get rid of the catless mid-pipes and install cats to pass inspection. Secondly, the exhaust setup that was on the car is actually too loud for some racetracks. If you follow me, you know that I like to do track days, and several racetracks across the United States have decibel restrictions, that if your car is too loud at the track, you get black flagged and you can't finish the track day. So installing stock exhaust again should help me be able to meet even the strictest sound limitations, such as at Laguna Seca. But I'm installing cutouts so that most of the time I can still have fun and open up the exhaust and hear the rumble when there aren't sound restrictions. The purchaser of my exhaust and I went to Randy's Auto Care in Gastonia to have the exhaust swap done. Here you can see them removing my Borla Attack and JBA catless mid pipes. Here's the stock exhaust and catalytic converters from the other Challenger going on to my Challenger. The guys at Randy's do a fantastic job. I learned about Randy's from my friend Rubix_3_1906, who has the best sounding Challenger RT I've ever heard. Check him out on all social media platforms at Rubix_3_1906 to see the amazing exhaust setup that Randy's installed on his Challenger RT. Here's how my car sounds after the stock exhaust and cats were installed. I was surprised at how good it sounded, and I love that I could finally hear the boost from the Procharger. After the exhaust systems were swapped between the two Challengers, I came back the next day to Randy's to have the cutouts installed because they weren't delivered in time to have them installed on the same day.
Now I can finally hear the boost.
Here are the exhaust cutouts that we installed on the car. They're made by QuickTime Performance, otherwise known as QTP, which are widely regarded as the best electronic exhaust cutouts that are made. I decided to go with a wired setup instead of a wireless setup, meaning that there was a switch installed in the armrest of the car that I would use to actuate the valves open and close. Check out that beautiful cutout. You see that big electric motor that opens and closes the valve at the flick of a switch. Here's day 2. I came back to Randy's Exhaust in Gastonia to have the cutouts installed on the stock exhaust and the electronic exhaust cutouts wired to the car. They began by marking where they were going to cut the opening on the stock exhaust pipes relative to the opening for the exhaust cutouts. And as you can see, they use a torch to cut into the stock exhaust for the openings for the cutouts. Then he cleaned the area that he cut out with the torch, so that there was a clean surface to weld onto, and also so that the openings in the exhaust matched the size and same oval shape of the exhaust cutouts that were going to go on. They do a really great job with fit and finish here at Randy's. They do really clean welds and make sure that details like the exhaust tips are perfectly level, which can't be said of all exhaust shops. Now he welds on the bracket that the exhaust cutouts will be bolted to. The QTP kit included fairly long exhaust pipe extensions that would put the exhaust cutouts closer to the sides of the car. But as you can see, they attached the exhaust cutouts pretty close to the stock exhaust so that they wouldn't sag down. These exhaust cutouts are also low profile, so that we would reduce the possibility of having any clearance issues. Here you can see the cutouts being bolted to the brackets, as well as downturns being bolted on that help direct the hot exhaust fumes more towards the ground rather than the cabin of the car. This video doesn't show it, but the longest part was actually wiring the exhaust cutouts to the car's power and also the switch inside of the car. They hid the wires for the switch running to the armrest beautifully.
Yep. Okay, now close.
So that you can't see them in the cabin of the car at all. Installation successful. Check out the difference in volume and sound.
Give it some more. That's closed, right? Can you open them? And give it some. Nice.
swap quickly so the car could pass inspection and I could register the car finally. I love the flexibility of being able to open and close the exhaust cutouts whenever I want to. If I want to hear the boost, I can close the cutouts, and if I want to hear the Hemi really open up, I can open the cutouts all the way and hear that roar. This setup may not be as loud as the previous setup, especially now that there are cats on the car, but I actually like the sound better. With the exhaust cutouts open, it's a lower pitch, and it sounds less raspy than the previous setup. As you can imagine, most of the time, these exhaust cutouts are going to be wide open.